What's up, everybody? Turncop Possibilities here, back again to you. What if Asta was trained by Goku, part 27. Now, last time we left off, Asta just single-handedly won the final round between his team and Yuno's team, with Asta coming behind Yuno, chopping on the back of the neck after, somewhat saving him from his own ultimate move, which he combined a super Kamehameha with waves of anti-magic flowing in and around his blue Kamehameha, his super Kamehameha, which easily pushed back Yuno's ultimate move, Spirit Storm, his ultimate spell, Spirit Storm. And right before it completely hit Yuno, Asta used instant transmission and teleport behind him, chopping on the back of the neck and knocking him out and teleporting to the crystal. To Yuno's crystal, which he says hello to Noelle and then just pulls out the Demon Slayer sword that was attached to the back of him, and just slice at destroying the crystal. And that's pretty much it for the recap. Now, let's get to the video, starting now. So, we start our story off after about 2 or 3 minutes pass. Yuno wakes up, sits up, and first thing he sees and first thing he says is, ask, did we lose? After saying that, he sees / hears, sees Noelle somewhat acting weird while staring at Asta, who just destroyed their crystal, and Mushroom Guy looking like he fell right on his ass after Asta appeared right in front of him, destroying the crystal. He then realizes that they did lose. He stands right up and says, "Wow, Asta, I didn't know you were that strong. I didn't know you and that key thing was that strong." And Asta replies back, "Well, I did have a year of training and getting my potential unleashed." Then says, "Wait, a year of training and potential unleashed? Care to explain?" Well, after asks that, Asta then says, scratches the back of his head, saying, about a day before the squad, the Match Night squad ranking event, my master invited me to go to his world to train. In their world, they have this room called the hyperbolic time chamber, which you can spend an entire year in there, and on the outside world, you'll just be a day. As well as a guy who can do, a guy who they say is a god, able to do a ritual that can unlock a person's full potential, all of their potential. Which, after he says that, scolds Asta for not not taking him with him. Continues to somewhat nervously sweat and scratch the back of his head, saying, it was somewhat on the spot, and I didn't have enough time to think about it, so my master just took me with them. So I just went with my master. Next time, the Yuno says, next time your master comes, invites you, take me with you. Asta gets a sad look, then says, I don't know if that's possible. Right now, it's forbidden for my master to come to this world, well, to come here. But then he looks at Yuno and says, if he does, I will. It's a promise. Then gives him a thumbs up. Then after saying that, he turns around and sees that the Black Bulls that were there watching the battle, watching the final match, and the Wizard King appeared right behind him. Which the Wizard King's somewhat geeking out after hearing the part about the ritual thing, because he was there appear right after Asta said about the potential unleashed ritual thing. And he's somewhat giddy, but Magna, he's somewhat angry that he got that powerful just from a ritual, and somewhat jealous because Magna, he's been training with Ki and all that as well. So if you remember Asta's team versus Magna's team. So yeah. With that out of the way, the celebration congratulating Asta and his team for winning the entire thing. A few 2 or 3 days later, Asta and the people just like from Canon get invited to participate, be part of the Royal Knights group. Sadly, Magna doesn't this time. Sadly, Magna, just like in canon, he doesn't get to join. Even though he showed great more promise and potential in this fight than canon. But because he still had the same level of magic, they couldn't rank him any higher. He may have shown more skill, but still the same level of magic, since none of them can sense Ki except for Asta. And maybe a little bit, he did learn a little bit after taking some notes from that book, if you remember from the beginning, a couple parts back when they were heading to the Magic Knight exam. So yeah. After that, a few days passed, and Asta and everyone from Canon, Royal Knights Canon, are there. They're discussing their plans for the Midnight Sun's base, raiding their base, which Asta senses an odd presence in his shadow and pulls out Demon Dweller Sword and stabs his own shadow, which a shadow wizard or a shadow mage jumps out of his shadow and yells in pain what Asta did, but with Asta's quick reaction speed, he uppercuts the guy and indents him. Uppercuts him, then indents him into the ground. Which Meliona and everyone and Meliona is impressed, and she asks, how did you do that? I was told that you don't have magic. Asta then smiles, just arrogantly smiles and says, well, my master taught me how to use Ki, and taught me how to sense Ki and all. That then is, and I was able to sense him, yada yada yada. He tells her that. She says, okay, well, and she comment, while in her head, she's thinking, that movement, that was inhuman. Like, how did he do that? But she pushes these thoughts to the back of her head, and they continue on discussing the plan to raid the Eye of the Midnight Sun's base. After that, they all appear before the giant floating rock, which is their base. They say the same thing, somewhat like in canon, saying they can't detect them where they are because of the magic region they're in. But after they say that, Asta closes his eyes and focuses and tells them that the Eye of Midnight Sun, they're scattered all over the place. I can sense their key and they're scattered all over, so it doesn't matter where you send us. We'll run into them eventually. Each one of us would run into them. Well, each one of our groups would. They ask, how did you... He just replies saying, I can sense their key, even with this magic region distorting their magic. I don't have magic, I sense key and all that. That's what Asta says, somewhat says something similar to that, but yeah. After that, all the teams are just like in canon, and yeah, they all go and get to their same introductions and all that. Asta, when a second Asta appeared, Asta somewhat does the same thing he does in canon, but before Leona could use her flame magic to torch both two Astas. Before she does that, Asta pulls just the real Asta, gut punches the fake into the wall, which reveals to be I forgot his name, Copy Guy, which he says, I didn't think that was gonna happen. I really underestimated you, kid. Which, then the fighting starts, but Meliona's the only one fighting him. She tells them to stay back while she has her fun. Asa somewhat understands and does what the captain does with what Meliona says. Now, we're going to switch perspective. Change to the wizard, well, to Julius, the Wizard King. As Captain Vengeance, as he's wearing the mask, he confronts him pretty much just same thing, somewhat just like in canon. Though Julius isn't as surprised as he was in canon, though he wasn't surprised as much as in canon, but when Vengeance takes his mask off and his face literally changes into Lit, but later on we know as Patri, and starts fighting Julius. But this fighting with Yami, he was still at the Golden Dawn's headquarters, but he can sense Julius fighting. He jumps right as the battle started. Yami jumps right out the window of their base and starts flying at top speed because because he's been training to learn how to use ki for a while now from Asta's guidebook, and had a lot with his training and his already knowledge of ki, and with this extra training and all that, he's somewhat strong, as he's at the level of Asta before Asta left to go with go with Goku to his world. He's pretty much that strong as that Asta. Well, slightly stronger than that Asta. And he flies at top speed towards the capital. But as he arrives at the capital, Julius sacrificed himself to save the entire kingdom by rewinding time, but to the just like in canon, where Lit stabs him in the chest with a blade made of light. Yami's in complete despair and anger from this, and in an instant he appears right beside them, and releases a dark cloak, dark slash on the Lit, which Lit is taken aback by this because of how fast Yami moved. But before Yami did that, Lit went through the Wizard King's pockets and grabbed all the magic stones that he had on him. That includes the one Asta got in the cannon, because he got the information and gave it to the Wizard King. And that's it for the video, everybody. So, before I go, I'm going to say, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Also, share my contact with your friends or whatnot. And also, tell me what you think. I'm going to continue this until I get to a certain point. Until I get to a certain stopping point. So yeah, with that. So yeah, see you next time, everybody. Bye.